Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, we're going to be taking a look at polynomials. Okay, a polynomial expression. Now, you may remember this back from grade 9. You took a look at polynomials there, and we're going to just do a little bit of review on that. But a polynomial is an expression which can include integers. Okay, that's what we would call regular numbers, variables, and combinations of both. Okay, so the ones we're going to use today, or in this unit here, are going to be integers and variables. We could technically have fractions and decimals as well. Okay, so we have integers, or numbers really in general, variables, and then fractions and decimals could be in there as well, and some sort of combination of both. So to take a look here at some examples that we have, maybe just the most basic example could be the number. Let's use the number 17. Okay, that is a polynomial. It's a number. It's an integer. That's it. That's all it is. Okay, so that would be what we could consider a polynomial. We could also have a variable, and we might consider something like x or y. These would be variables. Okay, these are polynomials, or can be represented as polynomials. We could also start to put them together. So we could have something like 2x. That's a polynomial. Okay, so it has a variable, or sorry, an integer as well as a variable in there. And then we can start getting a little more complicated here. We could have two variables together. So we could have something like, let's do mn. Okay, so that's m times n. Okay, so that would be a polynomial as well. We could have something like, if we have two, so we could have like something like 3x squared, or we could think of it just as x squared. That works as well. Okay, but 3x squared would also be there. We could have negatives. Okay, so negative 4z to the 4th. There we go. There's a polynomial. And then we can start putting together multiple terms, and we'll talk about terms as well in just a little bit. So something like 3x plus 2, or negative 5y minus 3. Okay, and we could go on and on. There are infinite number of combinations that we could come up with. Let's do 6a minus 2. There we go. There's another combination. So these are all combinations and such which we call a polynomial. Now, polynomials, okay, come in all shapes and sizes, as you may be able to see with the ones that we have up here. Okay, so using any letter, okay, as a variable. Okay. Now, like variables represent the same number, but only when we're dealing with individual polynomials. So this x will be one number, but this is a different polynomial, so this x would be a different number. If we have something like, and I'll put a different one up here. Let's say we have 4x squared plus 3x plus 2. Okay, both of those x's are going to be the exact same number. So if we call x to be 3, then this is 3, and that's 3 as well. And then that's how we would solve for what that expression would equal to, or what value, numerical value it has. Now we have a couple different types of polynomials that we're going to take a look at. The first one is when we just have one term. Okay, and so now a term is anything that is kind of on its own. This would be a term. Anytime that we see an adding or subtracting between two values, that's a separation of a term. So this would be one term, this would be a second term. This would be one term here, negative 5y. This would be a second term. Okay, so that's what we mean by terms. If we only have one term, so that's no adding and subtracting in there, we call this a monomial. Okay, so, and this is every number that we may have is considered a monomial. Okay, so that's a monomial, 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 and so on and so forth. Okay, mono means one or singular. So this is a one-nomial, or one-termed polynomial. Now, if we have two terms, okay, and you'll notice here that we have a 3e and we have a negative 4. Those are our two terms that we have. Okay, the term for 2 is bi, and then we have nomial. Okay, so we have a binomial, which is a two-term polynomial. Now you notice here that our two terms are 3e and -4. Those are our two terms that we have as we split them up whenever we see an adding or subtracting sign. But that adding or subtracting always goes with it as well. Now, if we don't see an adding or subtracting sign in front of a term, that just means it's a positive. So we're just adding it, which we don't have to put the adding sign in there, but we need to if it's in the middle here. Now, finally, we have a 3-term, and that's really all we're going to look at specifically in this course here, but a 3-term polynomial. So we have 1 is x squared, we have -3x, and we have +4. So we have x squared and -3x and +4. Those are our 3 terms that we have, and we can call that a positive as well. The term for 3, okay, if you think of a tricycle or a triangle or anything like that, those all have 3 of something. So this would be a trinomial. Okay, it is a 3-termed polynomial. The tri meaning 3, and then nomial again being a polynomial. By the way, poly means many, so this is a many-termed expression. Okay, the mono, bi, and tri kind of give us how many terms there are in each expression.